Howdy! How's all my friends out in YouTube land today? I'm going to be working on some more wood burning. I have another pattern here all laid out ready to rock, but I wanted to start out by showing you, if you watched the live show that I did yesterday, I already had this one burnt when I started the show, but after the show went off, I painted it. Somebody asked me about painting it. Now, you can paint after you put the stain on. That is not an issue. However, you need to go over it after the paint is dry with your clear gloss sealer in order to seal it. I have not sealed this one yet, but there you see the design painted. Now, what I used on this was an alcohol ink. It's a metallic and it's bronze, and that's what I put on this one. Now, this one that I did, I burnt this on the show last night, and then after the show went on, I painted this with an oil paint in a purple color. I thought that stood out and made that look really pretty. So there you have both of those painted up, and that's how nice they look when they're painted up. And then all you got to do is put your little hanger on the back of it, or you could take your drill and drill a couple little holes in it up here and put a leather hanger in it or a ribbon or however you want to do it to hang it up. So I thought that was real pretty. And I'll seal those later, and those will be finished pieces. Now I've got this design ready to go here, and I thought that would be real pretty burnt. So I'm going to go ahead and burn this, and you can watch. Now I'll talk a little bit about my wood burning tool. This is a wood burner, and I told everybody on the show last night who made this, and it's Walnut Hollow, I think is what the name of it is. You can look it up on the internet, type it in Google, and it'll bring it up. It's Walnut Hollow. And this is their wood burner. I have another one, but I don't like it as well as this one because the other one does not have a regulator on it for the temperature. And you can see this one has a regulator. And for wood, I put the regulator right there at the high side of the orange, or right between the orange and the red, and let it heat up. If you're going to do glass or you're going to do plastic, you're going to want to put it down on the lower end of the spectrum here in the yellow to the gold on the dial. So that is why I like this one so much. You can regulate it for whatever you want to burn on. Now, there's different tips that you can put on these. This is my favorite one. And now you'll get your own favorite when you get your burner and you practice and play around with it and figure out what you want to do. But I like this particular one. This is called the calligraphy tip, and it's got a little curve on the end of it, you can see there. And that way you can turn it different directions to burn your design in on what you want to burn. These are hot, and I ain't kidding you. You see how this is all dark up here on the end of it, and that is from it being hot. And that's how you burn your object with it. So you don't touch that ever under any circumstances. They have this rubber grip on here for a reason. That is your buffer to keep your hand from burning because the tool gets extremely hot. Now, when you want to change tips, if you want to change tips in the middle of your work, you're going to need a pair of pliers, and you're going to need a glass bowl or a metal bowl to put that tip in. When you pull it out with a pair of pliers, you put it in the bowl because it's hot. You don't want to put it on anything plastic or paper or cardboard or anything like that because it's hot. It'll catch something on fire. So once you have it out, then you put your other tip, because this thing is still hot up here, okay? So you'll put the other tip that you want to place in it in your pliers, and you push it in the end of it there where the hole is, where you pulled this tip out of it. And then it'll heat up, and you'll be ready to burn with whatever your other one is. So that's a little bit about these burners. You can get your wood. This came from a place called Factory Direct Craft. So you can go there and get them, or you can go to any craft store. They'll have wood blanks in all kinds of shapes and sizes for you to use. And then my design came from a place called Welburn Gourd Farm. And you can look them up on the internet. They have all kinds of designs and stuff there. And this is a peel and stick. They have sheets with different designs and stuff on them in the packets, and you can get your designs that way already printed, or you can just get the peel and stick and you can print your own design on them. Be sure you get the right kind of peel and stick for your printer, because they have them for both your inkjet printers and for the laser printers, and you can't use the inkjet in the laser printer because it'll melt in there. So be sure you get the right kind of peel and stick if you plan to put it through your printer. Then all you do is you just peel the backing on it and stick it on your object that you're going to do your burning on, and then you'll burn it, you'll peel it off, and then you can do whatever you want to do with it, stain it or paint it, or whatever you decide that you want to do. I generally stain them first, and then I put the paint to them after the stain is good and dry, but you can do it either way. It doesn't really matter. And when you're using your burner, you just draw with it. So all you're doing is just drawing. You're not pushing it. It's just like if you was using a pencil. You just draw along the lines that's on your pattern. And it's just as simple as that. Now this burns right through the little plastic paper of the pattern and lays it right down on the wood. I like to turn the wood as I'm working with it. Makes it simpler to ease around it. And see, I don't press, I just move it along. And if it doesn't get as dark as I want the line to be the first time, I just keep moving along there, and it puts it on. Now, once in a while, your tool may need to be cleaned off, your little tip on there, because these patterns are plastic. And so as you're burning through that plastic, and little pieces of that will get stuck on there. So what I generally do is I have a little scrap piece of wood, and I will take that and show you how I do this. Just a little scrap piece of wood, and then I'll run it over the piece of wood. Now you can also use steel wool. You can use piece of sandpaper. That'll take the gunk off of it, but I just find running it on a little spare piece of wood is just as convenient. If you press very hard on the wood, sometimes it'll go off of your pattern because the wood has a grain to it. And if you're pressing hard, sometimes the grain will make your tool jump. And you don't want that. You want to stay right on the line with it. Now you can burn all different kinds of things, leather and glass and plastic and different things with a wood burner. Just have to practice a little bit with it. See which tips work right for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Sometimes as I'm moving along this, I feel it kind of, feels a little bumpy, and that's because of the grain of the wood. So you just be patient with it. Let it do its thing. Not trying to run a foot race with it. You're just trying to burn a pattern in. So you just take your time. This can be really relaxing to do. Don't be nervous about it. Just take your time and just draw. Following the lines on a pattern is pretty easy to do. Now, If you wanted to, once you get the pattern off of it, you can go back over the piece that you've drawn out and you can put in shading or whatever you would like to do with it. Dress it all up fancy. But I have a lot of fun with the wood burner and putting designs onto things. Wood burning on gourds. You can look at some of my videos where I've done some wood burning on the gourds. You can wood burn lettering onto things. Take a little piece of wood and put people's initials on them and make little keychains out of them, or burn on leather, belts, and all sorts of accessories. Do all kinds of designs. So I hope you're enjoying watching me do the wood burning, and I hope some of you decide that you want to try to take it up, because I really do think you'll enjoy it. I'll probably paint my little butterfly after I get it all drawn on here. I enjoy these Celtic patterns. There's a lot of drawing to them, but they're really pretty burnt. All of the design wrapped around and all the nice swirls and stuff in it. I'll probably be doing another wood burning video sometime this week, because I got another blank over here that's real pretty and kind of a Celtic design. I'll go ahead and show you, give you a taste of what you'll be seeing. But there it is. It's the double fish. That's a nice little pattern. And we just keep working around it. I just make nice little short strokes with it. I'm not pressing it at all. I'm just following the line is all I'm doing. Just put the tip of it on the line and just move it just like I would a pencil. I hope you're having a good holiday season where you are, regardless of whatever holiday you're celebrating. Not letting everything get to you too much, not too much stress. It can be a stressful time of year. Take some time for yourself and craft a little bit. Be creative, create something. Don't feel like you need to buy everybody presents either. You can make them something. I'd just as soon have a handmade gift from whoever's giving it to me. I feel like it comes from their heart that way, you know, that they was making it just special for me. It kind of shows the love you have for the person when you make them a gift. Find out what's special to them, what they really enjoy. That makes getting a gift for them, or even making a gift for them, special that way. Try to keep this in the camera so you can see what I'm doing here. I get so engrossed in my work that I don't think about where the camera is when I'm doing these solo videos. I don't have Brandy in there telling me, hey, get it up there where they can see it. I really do enjoy doing this. I like to do all kinds of crafts. I know there's a lot of people that get in their craft and that they do the one thing and that's all they want to do, and they don't want to do any other crafts, and that's great. I've never been that way. I'm interested in all of it. If anybody watched my interview with dude behind the camera, you know that I'm not much into stained glass and working with glass in that respect. I don't know. I tried it and it just really wasn't for me. Um, I think it's a little too much um, tediousness, you know, with the glass for me. I like a little freer form. So even with this wood burning, it's a freer form. Everything just kind of flows. And the stained glass to me was just a little bit too rigid. I just didn't get along with it that well. But hey, you know, I'm into so many other things. I'm not going to get upset because one thing is not my forte. Just, you know, get out there and try different crafts, try different things until you find something that you really enjoy doing. You might find that there's a whole bunch of stuff you like doing. You never know until you try. Just find the beauty in your artwork and your creation. There's somebody on the show last night talking about they could draw a stick figure on a rock. Well, hey, that's an art form. I mean, basically all this is a stick figure when you get right down to it. You know, it's just a bunch of lines. It's just the direction they go, you know. That's coming along nicely. Now while we're up here at the top, let's go ahead and put the little circles in there. I'm guessing that those are supposed to be tops of the antennas or something, even though they don't really have anything connected to them. That's what it reminds me of anyway. In these little teeny tiny spaces like this, I just use the very tip of the burner and go around it till I'm satisfied with the darkness of the burn. So this is coming along and looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. We just keep working around it. When I'm going around these curves, I just take a little curved tip and just work around those curves real gentle. And then when I get to the straighter part of the line, I set the little blade down on it and just draw right along that line. I don't push, I just pull the tool as I go. Just draw until you get everything filled in good. Cover the entire pattern. I've been crafting since I was a kid. My mother really wasn't into crafting. She was more of a workhorse. You had to be doing some kind of labor to be productive as far as she was concerned. So she was kind of against the art thing. So I didn't get to do a whole lot of arting when I was a kid. The majority of my art form was done at my granny's house. I spent a lot of time with my granny, and my granny used to do quilts, and she would crochet, or not crochet, she knitted. And I wanted to crochet, and she didn't know how to crochet, so she didn't know, how to teach me that. But she did teach me how to knit. And then when I got a little older, I got me a book, and I went to learning how to crochet. Taught myself to crochet. I could sew. I had a sewing machine, and I was a pretty good seamstress. I used to make all my own clothes when I was a teenager. And I started out buying some patterns, and then I figured out, all the different styles. And so I went to manipulating those patterns. I could take like the collar off of one pattern and sleeves off of another one, and I'd start designing. And then I got so good that I made my own patterns. Got real good at how to measure and calculate how things needed to go on the garment, and did pretty good at that. Then when I got out away from home, I started branching out into other kinds of crafts and learning. And it's all a learning process. You never get done learning. I learn things every day about crafting. Whether it's a different kind of paint medium to use, or different skill set when it comes to paper crafting, or journaling, or, like the wood burning or engraving, or even painting on different kinds of objects. And I like to work with the gourds, and I like to garden. When I garden, I don't just raise vegetables in the garden. I raise a lot of my own things for crafting, different botanicals and gourds, broom grass. Make brooms out of broom grass. Those are nice decorator objects for your craft sales. So when you get ready to plant your garden this coming spring, think about that. Generally, it depends on what your weather is where you are, but I live in the Midwest, so generally by mid-May we've got the garden thing going on. And I always include some kind of craft stuff in my gardening. I mean, shoot, you can even take chili peppers, raise chili peppers, and dry them, and make your garlands and stuff with chili peppers. Now we're getting close to getting it all done here. Just a little bit more to go and we'll have it burnt. It's been a fun piece to do right here. Now, right here at the tail end of it, I think. We'll look it over here. Yep, sure as the world. We're on the last go around here. This little bottom section on this side done. When I'm going around these curves, I just use that little tip and I just go around a little bit at a time. Just to burn that in. Get to the straight part and I just drag it right along. Okay, and that burns it in. I'm going to double check looking here at the lines. It looks like I got everything burned into it good, and I'll turn off the wood burner. Now, I've talked about this on the live show. You turn it off, you set it in the little stand, There's a little stand for it, and you put it in that stand, and you make sure the tip of it ain't touching nothing while it cools down, because it's hot, and you don't want to burn nothing. All right? Safety first. Don't touch it, and don't have it touching nothing. Then you're going to peel your pattern off. Now, we'll get this up here where you can see it. And now, you see, when you peel the pattern off, you have burnt all these lines on. So you have cut your pattern to bug bites all over this thing. And it's not going to peel off all in one strip. So you have to just peel it off a little bit at a time around your design. You'll take the outside portion of it off first. Then you have to go over all these little places on it, all these little designs, and take all that paper off of there. Just get under the edge of it and go to pulling up and get it all pulled loose. And you just do it a little bit at a time. And it is time consuming to do it. Nothing worth having is quick. You gotta just go slow and do it a little bit at a time. Now, when I pull this up, I'm going to double check, make sure. Yep, there wasn't no line across there, so we're all right with that. I don't want to miss any lines on anything. If you don't get all the pattern paper pulled off of it, when you go to paint it or stain it, it won't take the paint or stain because you still got that plastic on there. That's why it's important to get all of that plastic off of it. So you just keep working at it, keep pulling it off of there a little bit at a time, and get it all freed up. And if you run your fingers over it, you can generally feel that there's still plastic there. On this color wood, it is hard to see it. It's just a tiny, just a shade off of color from the wood, and that's why it's a little hard to see on there. So you just have to go slow and get at it and pull it off. As I pull it off, I'm taking these little pieces because they're sticky on the back still, you know, from where those on the wood. So I put them in the trash, get them out of the way here so I don't have them stuck to everything. Just clearing it off of my design. Trying to keep it in the camera view so you can see here. Not truly exciting to watch me peeling the plastic off of this, but it's part of the process nonetheless. And you need to see how it's done. Just take your blade and rake up the edge of it. Peel it loose. I mean, sometimes it fools even me because I'll think that there's not a piece there and then it turns out to be a piece there. Sometimes I think there's a piece there and it turns out not to be a piece there. Well, sometimes it wants to be a little difficult. You just keep at it, you'll get it off of there. Okay, we're narrowing it down here, a little bit at a time. After you do this a few times, you get pretty good at getting the paper picked off of it. You learn how to watch it and how to deal with it. And a couple more little pieces and we'll have it. Yeah. There we go. Well, get it stuck to my finger over here. Get that to cooperate, and I'll come back and get that off. There we go. Look over it one more time here. Looks like there's a piece right there. Be sure I got it all off of there. Now, I just kind of twist it in the light a little bit. And there's a piece. You twist it in the light a little bit, then the whiteness of that plastic will generally show up under the light so that you can see it good. Glistens a little bit. And make sure you got all the little tiny pieces off. Nothing like trying to get into painting it and finding out that you still have plastic on it. And you got to go digging at it again and you get paint all over you and making a mess. That's looking pretty good right there. So I believe that it's probably getting pretty close to painting it. and I have to decide what kind of paint that I want to use for it. And I'm thinking that on this piece I might want to use, let's see, what do we want to use on this? Decisions, decisions, decisions. I'm thinking that I might use some gold alcohol ink. So I'm going to shake this up real good. Get this up here under the light. Deal with my computer a little bit. I got stuff spitting out all over the screen up here. There we go. Get things cleaned up a little bit so that I can keep an eye on my camera. All right, now open this bottle up. Now this is a metallic gold alcohol ink by Liquitex. And I got my little brush here. And I got my bottle of ink. And I'm just going to dip the brush down in ink that I've shook up. Get a little bit of ink on the brush, just right out of the bottle. I'm not going to use a palette or anything for it. I don't think that's necessary. And I'm just going to work it in real easy right around my design. In the sections that I want to turn gold. And I'll stain the edges of this piece once I get it dry from the paint, but I wanted you to see how I do this. Just real easy. I mean, this isn't the best brush in the world. I mean, look at that. It's been beat pretty hard, but it's getting the job done. I could do the same thing with a Q-tip, which I may go into some of these little nooks and crannies with the Q-tip, but this particular section here works out pretty good with the brush. You can tell which brushes are my favorite by how well worn they are. Some of these are a little narrow, so I'm going to lay that brush aside and I'll go pick up a Q-tip and just get a little bit of paint on the Q-tip. I'm not even putting the Q-tip all the way down on there. I'm just using the edge of it just to paint it in, keeping it in the line that I have burnt in. Because I may come in with another color in some of these other areas, and I don't need this all bled out all over this thing. I just want to keep it in my lines. Just real gentle inside those lines. Just the edge of it, just to get the color in there. This metallic color gives it a real pretty sheen. Makes it look glittery. Now I'm going to twist the end of that Q-tip just a little bit to make it a little pointed, to go into some of these other little narrow areas. And if you find you need a little more ink, then you just dip it in the ink again, just to get it inked up a little bit more. Just ease a little more ink on there. Now, you keep twisting the end of that. You're going to get a little ink on your fingers when you do that. Have a paper towel handy to wipe your hands off with. Cleanup for this alcohol ink is simple. You use alcohol. Alcohol cuts it and makes it thin and gets it so that it wipes right off. If you happen to get outside your lines with the ink, then you just come in with a Q-tip that has nothing but alcohol on it and wipe it right off. Alcohol ink is a pretty forgiving medium to deal with. And I say I just keep twisting the end of it, make it pointed, get a little ink on the end of it so that it goes right into those little narrow areas where I burnt. Say something needs touched up, you can hit it again with a little bit. Don't take very long to do this. Just take it one step at a time. When the tip starts to loosen up a little bit, I tighten it back up, twist it, dip it back in the paint a little bit. Just dab a color on where I want it to go. And when it starts to flatten out again, you twist it a little bit more. And if you find that it's actually kind of starting to lose its shape, that's okay too, because there's more Q-tips. Get another one up here. I'll start by tightening up the tip on it. And if you need to, you can use some scissors, trim it up, whatever it is you need to do. I find that you twist them around a little bit and they'll get tight enough that you can do what you need to do with them. You can always pull a little cotton off if this one tends to be a little bit too loose here. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. It's got another end on it. Let's try that one. That one's going to have to be softened up, I think, with a little ink. So we'll just start out by putting a little ink on it and dabbing it in the areas. If it softens up, then we'll go to twisting it. Now, getting into some real narrow places up here on top, ain't we? All right, a little more ink. Just dab it right there between the lines. You don't want to soak the whole end of the Q-tip in the paint, just the end of it. Just get a little ink on the end. You can use about any kind of paint you want to use. If you want to do acrylics on it, or oils, or inks, that's up to you. You could use even wax paint it if you wanted to. Got a little wax burn. Melt some wax in there and paint it up with some wax. If the paint looks a little bit thin to you in some spots and you want to thicken it up a little bit, you can do that. You can come back in with a little bit more. It's your piece of artwork. You make it look the way you are satisfied with it. That's the point. I have found in my artwork that some people appreciate it and some people don't. You know, not every piece of artwork is for every person. But you want the person that takes up with your artwork to love it. Then you know that you've accomplished your goal, because if you really like it and you enjoy the piece, then you know that you have a camaraderie with the individual that is purchasing your artwork, or you're gifting it to, or, you know, however you want to deal with it. But not all pieces that you do are going to be masterpieces. And here's the thing that I have noticed. When you're doing your artwork, you might have a piece that you don't particularly care for, but you take it to your craft show, or you put it on your website, your Etsy page, whatever it is that you got, and somebody sees it and they're like, oh, that is exactly what I've been looking for. That is the nice piece. That'll hang and look so pretty in whatever particular area of their home they're wanting to put it, or their office. It is just the perfect piece for them. So you was intended to make that piece for that purpose, for that person to see it, because that's what they've been looking for. And so many times I've watched different channels here on YouTube, people making things, and they say, oh, Lord, I don't like that, you know, and they'll just wipe it all off and start all over again, or cover it up, or what have you. And I'm thinking, man, that was really pretty piece before they decided to destroy it. So just because it's not pretty to you doesn't mean that it's not going to be pretty to somebody else. Don't be too quick to disregard your work. So there, we've got that portion of it done. Now, I ain't done yet. Butterfly's telling me that it needs just a little more happiness over here. So we're going to take some black alcohol ink and a Q-tip. I've shook up my paint. I wish that was showing up as pretty on the camera as it is here on my desk. It's not showing as metallic-y as it actually is, because that metallic paint is just glistening on that. There, maybe you can see a little bit better how it's glistening. That is really pretty. And now we're going to take a Q-tip, and we're going to dip it in the black alcohol ink. See, I just got a little bit on the tip of it there. We're going to come in a few of these little places on it and put a little black in there. Just outline the place that I'm wanting to put the black in. And then fill it in. Now, I've got a little spot there that I need to touch up. So, I'm going to get the alcohol. I'm going to put a little alcohol in the cap. Set the bottle off to one side there. And I'm going to take a clean end of a Q-tip. I'm not happy about this place right here on it. So I'm going to go over that a little bit with some alcohol. Just to clean that up a little bit. Take a little of that black off there. It got outside my line just a touch. I want to clean that up. Just rub that black ink right off of there. It's being a little difficult. All right, now I'm going to come back in with the gold. Go over that a little bit. There we go. That's looking better. Probably needed my fine tip brush for this painting, but I didn't think about rounding it up. There we go. That's looking good. Looking right good right there. Just stroke it out a little bit. Okay. Now, go back to the black. A little more black ink on the tip. Try to stay in my lines this time. That wood's thirsty and it just sucks up that black ink. You just take your time, get it where you want it to go. You could do them in any color you wanted to. I thought this gold and black would look pretty on this butterfly. It just kind of looks, I don't know, majestic or imperialistic or whatever you want to call it with these colors. This would look good hanging on the wall in so many different kinds of decors. I can see this in a Japanese modern or a lot of different kinds of decor you could use this in. I hope you think that's as pretty as I do. I think that's coming out nice. You can still see the burnt lines on it. And then the gold and the black just kind of set off the pattern of the butterfly. So when you get the ink on there, or paint, or whatever it is that you're doing, you get it on the Q-tip. You don't want so much paint on there that it's, you know, soppy. You want it just enough so that you can put your paint or your ink on your design. Just tap it on. Because if you get it on there too heavy, then it's going to want to start bleeding over on your design, and you don't want that going on. Then you got a lot of cleanup to do. When you get to the point where just not getting hardly any ink, then it's time to get just a touch more. Get another drop on your Q-tip or fine point, or, you know, whatever it is you're using to lay your color in. Just touch it in there again. You could even use markers on this if you wanted to. You wouldn't even have to use a paint or an ink. Just use your markers. All your markers are, generally speaking, are alcohol ink. Which is what I'm using right here. Like I say, if you see any spots that you want a little bit darker, make them a little bit darker. It's your piece of artwork. You make it look the way you want it to look. And I just kind of twist it around a little bit. Just take a look at the colors from all directions, because once it's hanging on the wall, you never know what direction somebody's going to be viewing it from. So I just kind of turn it different directions and just make sure that I'm satisfied with the way the paint's laid in there. Now this will need to dry, and once it's all dry, go over it with your stain like I showed you on your video last night where I did this one here. You stain it, let the stain dry, and then you go over it with your varnish or your spray gloss or whatever kind of sealer you want to use on it. Now I will also fire the wood burner up on these pieces, and I lay my initials in the corner of it. You know, I always mark my work so that, you know, one of these days when I'm dead and gone and my stuff's worth $1 million, shows up on Antique Roadshow. It's like, yes, that's her signature on there. So, you know, that's how we do this wood burning thing. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this taught you a little bit of technique on the wood burning process. And I hope that you take it up and you try it for yourself. So I will shut this video down, and I will close it out by saying, Brenda's crafty. Be like Brenda. Bye.